Flying in or out of Tampa International, you go through security checks, right? So why did the airport ignore warnings of a security breach on its computers?
Warnings from one of its top people that computers with your information was compromised. Here's 10 Investigates, Mike Deason.
When you fly in and out of Tampa International Airport, nearly everything is controlled by a computer. But 2 years ago, there was a serious security breach that went on for months. Former IT specialist Ramesh Patel immediately alerted the Aviation Authority.
Since 2014, they were aware of illegal activity on their network, but no one did anything.
How could something like that go on so long?
Well, the leadership that was in place at the time in the IT department did look at those concerns, and they concluded that there was no security issue.
But when more concerns were raised, the Aviation Authority did this audit, which was finished right after the first of the year. The investigation found that procedures were violated and that there was unauthorized remote access to the TIA network throughout the United States and overseas. However, spokesperson Janet Zink says the Aviation Authority isn't concerned.
And we feel comfortable that the Aviation Authority assets and information is safe.
However, senior security analyst Don Hare, who just resigned after 9 years, disagrees. In this document obtained by 10 Investigates, Hare raises concerns about suspicious people accessing confidential customer information as well as TIA employee information, such as Social Security numbers. So if you get the badging numbers and you get the Social Security number, somebody could create a badge and breach security.
Yes, very well they can.
TIA program analyst Tan Nguyen also alerted authorities, but says he quit after his warnings were ignored.
But this is the safety of the airport.
The safety of the airport was
Yes.
at risk.
That's why I told them.
Nguyen and the Aviation Authority audit say the problem started after this man, Gautam Sampath, was hired to head up a project. The audit found that Sampath shared his username and password. Sampath agreed to talk to us, but didn't want to appear on camera.
A few occasions where people were given the same usernames to do that.
No, but your password was shared.
No, as I told you, my password was shared only once, basically.
The audit says multiple users were logging in simultaneously on Sampath's account. And this email from TIA senior network engineer Kevin Blackburn says the airport logs show Sampath's laptop was remotely connected into the system for 24 hours straight. Meantime, the investigation found there were several logins from India as well as Czechoslovakia, and the Aviation Authority had no idea who had been accessing the secure information.
The people that were closely associated with this are no longer with the Aviation Authority, including our IT director, who is leaving.
And while the Aviation Authority is downplaying the seriousness of the computer breach because of concerns raised by several current and former employees, TIA has hired another consultant to determine how much of its information was compromised, and it's instituted new security procedures to make sure the computer system is more secure.
Tampa International Airport was warned it was putting you at risk, and it tried to keep that information secret until 10 Investigates uncovered a computer breach. Well, tonight, investigative reporter Mike Deason explains why some people are concerned the airport also violated state law by not reporting the breach to proper authorities.
The computer breach we uncovered at Tampa International has several people, including Tampa Mayor Bob Buckhorn, worried. Does that concern you?
Sure, it should concern us. I mean, anytime you have a breach like that, it should be of concern.
As we reported, the man hired to install a new computer program had full access to the Aviation Authority system, shared his password, and left his laptop accessible to people outside the country.
Whether it was an inside job or not, I don't know.
But the head of the Aviation Authority, Joe Lopano, is downplaying the breach, telling board members at no time did anyone other than employees working on the airport campus have access to information that would create a security or financial risk to the airport or its customers. That ignores the fact that the man heading up the program, Gautam Sampath, was working on the airport campus. But the airport says there was no breach of information that would require notification of a local, state, or federal agency.
Well, my take is that's absolutely incorrect. Under the Florida Information Protection Act,
Veteran attorney Rick Tarana, who is experienced with internet crime cases, says the fact that the senior security analyst at the airport during the breach told the Aviation Authority suspicious people were accessing confidential customer information, the airport is violating state law because it didn't report the breach.
it's not their call to make. The Information Act obligates them to report any breach or potential breach immediately to the proper authorities.
And while Mayor Buckhorn is concerned, he says he trusts the Aviation Authority to properly deal with the problem.
But I'm counting on the professionals at the Aviation Authority to do what we charge them to do as board members and fix it.
We're told the Florida Attorney General's office is now looking into the matter. Meantime, the Aviation Authority meets this Monday, and it'll be the 5th straight month nothing has been put on the agenda about the incident. And this is since a consultant says he can't conclude what type of information was compromised as the result of the breach.
10 Investigates getting the attention of the TSA and the Florida Attorney General's office. Both are now looking into a computer breach at Tampa International Airport. 10 Investigates Mike Deason first uncovered that breach, and tonight he shows you why the airport is now doing more to look into this problem.
This looks fishy. This looks like a sign of a cover-up.
IT security expert Tom Courtois blasted the Aviation Authority's handling of the computer breach. Former airport IT employees have been warning how the sharing of passwords and usernames could have compromised, among other things, customer information, social security numbers, and secret no-fly lists. But airport attorney Michael Stevens tried to say that the initial investigation found the information was not compromised.
Or none of the other reports that we've reviewed, that I've reviewed, have demonstrated any evidence that supports that.
No, they're saying it was inconclusive. They did not say it did not happen. Their exact words were it was inconclusive what information was breached.
And I think, that illustrates the very point of why we are continuing to look at it.
Now, following the 10 Investigate stories on the breach, the Aviation Authority is hiring 2 consultants to review the IT department and what information has been compromised. Airport head Joe Lopano says he wants answers.
It's unacceptable, and people exercise some really bad judgment.
Meantime, the airport's chief IT security officer warned his bosses he was concerned about the breach, and they responded by telling him he couldn't be trusted. He resigned. Lopano says that is also something that's unacceptable.
Tonight, we've got some passenger information compromised at Tampa International Airport. That's the question. That's what Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi wants to know. Tonight, 10 Investigates Mike Deason, who first uncovered a major computer breach, shows you why the Aviation Authority had to answer tough questions from the AG's office.
3 investigators from the Attorney General's office spent more than an hour and a half going over records. They wanted to see if the Aviation Authority had violated state law by not reporting the breach. Because it's an open investigation, Chief Investigator Edward Moffett had few details. Tell me what you can about why you're here today.
The Florida Office of the Attorney General is conducting due diligence into this matter.
However, Aviation Authority Attorney Michael Stevens says the Aviation Authority computer system was never compromised.
There was no breach. There was no breach in the sense that personal identifiable information was released. We also had a very productive discussion with the TSA a couple of weeks back.
That contradicts the former airport IT security head who says suspicious people had access to confidential information. And it doesn't account for the fact that a laptop that had logins from India into the airport computer was wiped clean before investigators could examine it. How can you say with surety that there was no breach, that any sensitive information wasn't accessed?
Again, based on our review, based on the security experts that we've brought in previously, Bayside, as well as the security experts that we have in now.
However, the airport's internal review was flawed, as the head of IT said there were no overseas logins, which clearly was not true. And the outside consultant said it could not determine if any sensitive information was breached. Investigators from the Attorney General's office now will interview those who say information was compromised. Mike Deason, 10 Investigates.